Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Welcome. Hey, good to see you. Welcome to the Jaybefaunt channel. I am your host, JamesBFauntleroy. So good to see all of you here. Come on in. Come on in. Yes, I started on time. I got my tea. The house is clean. My goodness. Let me just bask in this glory right now. Mm, mm, mm. Welcome to the Jaybefaunt channel. I am your host, JamesBFauntleroy. So good to see all of you here joining me today. The Jaybefaunt channel is also part of Revolutionary Blackout Network, so you can see me there typically on Thursdays for the Sabby and JB show and Sundays for the JB show. If you guys have not already, go ahead and do all the things. All right, go ahead and give a like to the stream. Thank you so very much for that. I appreciate it very much. You guys have done very well. This is a very good country. Very good country. Sorry, I was listening to Donald Trump earlier. So now his voice is in my head. Anywho, if you guys have not already, you guys can actually go to my Substack to get email notifications whenever I go live, upload clips, or write any articles. Just go to jaybefaunt.substack.com. You don't need to be afraid. Don't need to be scared. Go ahead and do it. All right. Good to see you. All right. Also, if you guys would like to ask me any questions and I can give you a video recorded response, or if you want me to react to any type of content that you are like, hey, JB, I thought this was interesting. I want you to react to this. You guys can actually have me do that through QBounty. Just go to qbounty.com/JBFaunt. So thank you very much for that. Yes, it is 3 o'clock, right? So if you guys have noticed, last week I had asked a question, and the question I had asked was, is it better for me to be live at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock? Some people said that they 2 o'clock. Some people were saying 3 o'clock. So I did a poll in the communities portion of my channel, as well as on Twitter. And it was the highest amount of people said that it doesn't matter. They don't really care. And then the second highest was change it to 3. So because of that, I decided to just change it because it went in progression of don't really care, then change it to 3. And then the least amount was keep it at 2. So that's why I changed it to 3. This makes it a little bit easier for people to be able to catch the stream as well. So, and plus, it also makes it easier on me so that I can be able to plan streams a little bit better and I can have a little bit more time. Plus, I get to go to the gym like I want to. And just that 1 hour, difference can make a difference. So I just wanted to make sure that I got that done. And I just wanted to make sure that, everybody was okay with it. I wanted to get the input from the audience on that. So I appreciate you guys, everybody who voted. And that, so the poll was out since Saturday. So I made the poll on Saturday, and then I made the decision last night to start going at 3 p.m. on Tuesdays. So you guys can see me 3 p.m. every Tuesday. I'll see you at the flagpole at 3 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? All right, everybody. So let's go ahead and say hello to the people in the chat. And then we can get into some stories. Also, by the way, today is going to be an abbreviated show. The reason being is because at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, I want you to listen to me very, very carefully. Look into my eyeball. Okay? At 4:30 p.m. on Revolutionary Blackout Network, Congressman Ro Khanna is joining Nick. So that's why it's an abbreviated show. Otherwise, I'd be doing a regular show. I would have 3 segments instead of 2. But that's going to be an important conversation, and I want us to flood it, okay? Right afterwards, okay? All right, so let's get to the people in the chat. Say hello, and we'll get started. DJ Leader says, terrific Tuesday at your brother. Good to see you, DJ Leader. Nice to have you. Jacqueline coming in saying, hey, everyone. Ugh. I can't talk today. Let me take a sip of some tea. Hey everyone, happy Tuesday at Jaybefaunt. Enjoy those tacos. It's Taco Tuesday. Oh my God. Sabby, if you're watching, it's Taco Tuesday. What are we doing? We need tacos. should give me a chalupa. Actually, I've been feeling quesadilla lately. I don't know. We'll see. I'll think about it. Kate Max says, "Hey everyone. Hey JB. Hope you're doing well. I am doing well. Now that you're here, I'm fantastic. Good to see you." Zoe says, "Your smile be making my day." Oh, thank you so much. You know what? Somebody insulted my teeth last week on Twitter. Like I said, like it's funny. The bigger you get, the more it's like the loudest people in the room tend to be the most negative, right? I was talking to a friend earlier about just because they're the loudest doesn't mean they're the majority, but the sad part is that they're the loudest. And it's like the loudest people will be the ones that will be insulting me and telling me I'm dumb, I'm stupid, I'm an idiot. They'll say all these negative things to me. But the funny part is the silent majority are the people that actually show the love. So always remember this, that sometimes the loudest person that's saying a negative talk is the minority. And so the opposite is true. So if somebody is demeaning you, even if you're demeaning yourself, you may be the only person. Everybody else probably loves you. So always think that the ones who are really behind you are the ones that are doing the actions, not the vet spitting the venom or the words. Just keep that in mind. Good to see you, Zoe. All right. We have Terry Connolly says, "Greetings, JB and comrades. Good to see you." Javier says, "Good afternoon, everyone." All right. We have Cobra Commander coming in saying, "Hey guys, I'm going to start a cult." Okay, here it goes. Gorilla, California, MCAA, Make Canada America Again. Oh my goodness. Roger Meadows, my brother from another mother, says, "Jay, you lost way too much weight." He said, "You no longer look like Anthony." And Roger, let me get a plane to New York. Let me get a plane to New York. Says, "Your clothes are too big. They're falling." Look, I wanted something different than what I wanted. And this is what was, look, Roger, damn, man. Says, "I, for one, don't come here to watch a burlesque. I'm here for info. Let's all chip in to get you new clothes." Oh my goodness. People don't come here to see me strip. Do you? I don't know why. There ain't nothing to see. But oh Lord, Roger. Thank you. Thank you. But I'm still coming up to New York. Look, I'm gonna come up to New York. We're gonna get some pizza. We're gonna get some greasy New York pizza, and we're gonna chop it up. Do they got good wings in New York too? How are the wings? Because I want to try it too. Have I ever had? No, I never had New York pizza before. I was up there one time, and anyway, thank you. All right. Who else we have up in here that I didn't get say hello to? All right. We have said hello to everybody. Also, hang on. What is anybody Young Rock fan? Okay, they're a little bit quiet. That's okay. And also the people who are on Rumble, they're watching, but they're a little quiet, but that's okay. Sometimes we're a little bit more reserved. Sometimes we're a little bit more introverted, and that is okay too. That's actually a good question. I'm actually kind of curious. What is the difference between burlesque and cabaret? I never thought about it. Oh well. Anywho. All right. So what are we going to be talking about today, everybody? Let's get into it. We got two stories. Oh, I forgot to put this up. Hang on. You know, sometimes I get so excited, but then I forget to do certain things. right before the show, but that's okay because I'm not always I'm not always on top of things, but it's okay to not always be on top of things. We always get caught up in other things as well, but please make sure to be kind to yourself. When mistakes happen, it's kind of like what Bob Ross says: you don't make mistakes, you're just happy accidents. Happy accidents, and turn these things into teachable moments too. And so that's what my teachable moment is. Happy accidents. All right, so what are we talking about today? Let's get into it. So we have two stories we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about, we're going to get into what Sunny Hostin said on The View. Sunny Hostin had some things that she said. Now it's just like, whoa, what in the world are you saying, lady? And I'm telling you right now, she stepped in it. And a lot of people are calling her out for it. And we're going to get into that later in the show. But I do have an update. We're going to be talking about Dennoriss Richardson. If you guys do not remember, back in October of last year, I actually did a story about a disabled Black man that was found hanging in Alabama. And so this was a very heavy story, but I think we should lead with this first because there's been some new developments that I want to get into, but we will be talking about Dennoriss Richardson. A lot of times, we got to talk about what's going on in this country in regards to those of us who are minorities, those of us who are marginalized. So I want to get into that right now. So first story we're going to get into is the Dennoriss Richardson update. So one of the things that I talk about, one of the things that I always mention about being Black in America is that it feels like we're an endangered species. And every single time people like me talk about it, there's always that one person that comes in that'll say something to the effect of, you think you're oppressed, but you're not. History proves them wrong. But a lot of times people will basically tell you that they're wrong from their perspective, when in reality smacks them in the face. I want to go to the original stream where I actually did talk about this. And I said that I smelt foul play. And this was an issue where I think that people should take what has happened with people should look at what happened and see that this is more than just a coincidence, at least in my eyes. Wow, that definitely was heavier. Okay, let's get into it. So I had this stream and I said I smell foul play. Let's get into it. These don't fall on deaf ears. So this is out of the root. What just happened here? Okay. It says disabled Alabama Black man was found hanging from a tree. His family believes police were involved. The blurb says the family of Dennoriss Richardson alleges Alabama police were behind his hanging. Yes. In the year of our Lord 2024, we are still talking about Black men being lynched. Remember, I talked about Black men being mysteriously murdered a few weeks ago. And yet this still keeps happening. But America's not a racist country. Let's get into it, shall we? So, this is him. All right. Dennoriss Richardson says about 8 months after a Black man filed a police brutality lawsuit against an Alabama police department, he was found hanging by rope. Is it a coincidence? His family doesn't think so. On Wednesday of October 9th, 6 days ago, attorney Roderick Van Daniel filed a motion demanding that the Sheffield Police Department hand over body camera and video related to an interaction between 38-year-old Dennoriss Richardson and several officers from earlier this year. Says the filing is part of a February civil lawsuit alleging Richardson was subject to unconstitutional arrest and violence at the hand of local officers, despite him being disabled. The suit claims Richardson was being harassed by the department from November to December of 2022. So let's move on. It says, according to the incidents, the suit claims that officers viciously beat Richardson, compromised his asthma by spraying mace in his face, and denied him food while he was detained inside a jail cell. In one incident, the suit claimed one of the officers yelled, "Nobody can help you," at Richardson while he was strapped to a chair where he had been restrained for 3 hours. After most interactions, the suit claims Richardson was falsely charged with assault. You know, when we talk about defunding the police, it's not talking about how we just want to get police away. We just want to get rid of them. And then people are committing atrocities left and right without any type of law enforcement whatsoever. We who say defund the police, we actually believe in real public safety. Part of that public safety means getting goons and thugs with badges and guns out of our faces so that we can actually live. Story. As Richardson's wife, Leanne, tells AL.com that the Sheffield police harassed him his whole life. By the time he filed the lawsuit, the cops had just arrested him again for on-drug charges. Richardson's wife alleged that they offered to drop the charges if he dropped the suit. Richardson refused. Hang on. He was suing them. And they tried to get him to drop the charges, to drop the suit, if they dropped it. Let's continue. Says, however, his determination for justice may have just been a grisly overshadowing of what would come of Richardson months later. He was found dead. Richardson's wife told AL.com he was let out on probation following the arrest, but decided to turn himself in after learning he would have to serve his across the country, forcing him to move from his 5 children. She told reporters after he left the house, she stopped hearing from him. On September 26, Richardson was reported missing. 2 days later, Richardson was found dead. He was hanging by a rope on the porch of an abandoned home near the Mississippi line, where his family said he had no business being, according to a court filing. Richardson's family still haven't received his death certificate. The filing said, however, the autopsy ordered by the Colbert County District Attorney's Office ruled his death a suicide. Quote, we spoke to family members that said that the last time they had spoken to Mr. Richardson, he had been depressed, worried about his future as far as the charges he was looking at. He was just down and out. He was giving some of his property away. It appeared to be an apparent suicide. That was from Sheriff Eric Ballantyne. Do you believe that? No, I don't believe. I don't believe that story that Ballantyne has given, and so this is one of the reasons why we have to give this an update. So that gives you the overall synopsis of what has happened in regards to Dennoriss Richardson. So, of course, he has been harassed by police. He tried to sue the police, and then, because of his issues involving police and the law, he becomes depressed. That's reasonable, natural reaction, right? And so, therefore, it's like he ends up going missing and winding up dead because he wouldn't drop the suit. Now, I still think down to this day that is foul play. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that there was foul play. Because how are you going to say that a black man decided to hang himself from a porch or a tree, and how does a black American man decide to self-harm himself in that way? No. There's many other different ways he could have done that, which I do not condone at all. If you are feeling any way of harming yourself, I reckon please, do what you can to, get some type of help. I know the medical system isn't as favorable to people with mental illness as much as possible as they should be. But if you can, get some help. But a black American man, I don't believe that he would go out that way. I just don't. No. Black Americans in the chat, do you think that a black American man or woman, what have you, would choose to harm themselves in that particular fashion? Knowing our history, do we look like Boo Boo the Fool? So there was this update. Let's go into the update, this article here. So it says 2 autopsies for black man found hanging in Alabama produced differing conclusions. Let's go over this article. So this is about Dennoriss Richardson. This is out of Montgomery. So the state autopsy has ruled that a black man found hanging in an abandoned Alabama home in late September died by suicide. A conclusion that contradicts a private autopsy commissioned by his family, which found no definitive evidence he died by suicide. Let's stop there for 1 second. This shows you what the family was thinking. They literally had to get a private autopsy done because they didn't believe a damn word that the state-sponsored autopsy had said. I wouldn't have either. That was a smart thing. Get a private autopsy done. And if they're coming to a different conclusion, well, there's something there. There's something going on. There's something afoot. Let's continue. Since Dennoriss Richardson's body was discovered in September in a rural Colbert County, far from his home in Sheffield, Alabama, a small town of nearly 10,000 nestled along the Tennessee River. A state autopsy released to law enforcement in late December ruled the 39-year-old's death a suicide, right? That was from Sheriff Ballantyne. Despite the state's official findings, the case has sparked intense suspicion and outcry in the community, along with a long history of racial injustice and deep-seated distrust of local law enforcement. Valentine called for an FBI investigation into Richardson's death in October. Richardson was one of numerous Black men who had recently filed federal civil rights lawsuit against local law enforcement alleging a pattern of abuse. And this is not unusual, because the pattern of abuse, of brutality by the police happens so often that to us, we expect it as Black people. So if it's expected, that means among some groups it's accepted. So when people go, oh, you guys think you're oppressed? Yes, we are. But you guys accept us being oppressed so much that you think it's normal and you think it's not oppression. When in reality it is. Because let that happen to a white person, and next thing you know, people lose their damn mind. Or they don't lose their mind at all and they just move on with their life. So let's continue. It says, Valentine said that the most recent report confirmed what the preliminary autopsy found. It says they get those preliminary results back pretty quick. We had those within a week. It's taken 3 months to get the official report back. Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences did not immediately provide a copy of the autopsy, which is classified as public information, unless there's a pending investigation into the death. Lee Richardson, Dennoriss Richardson's wife, has not seen the official document and maintains that she does not believe her husband killed himself. The sheriff's department has been saying he committed suicide from the beginning within 5 days of investigation. This is why we're fighting for the truth. This has not been easy by any means. However, we know that Nana didn't kill himself. Here's the thing. The sheriff's department's like, oh, well, he offed himself. When in reality, how are you going to say that? And it's like, well, apparently he did it himself. I don't believe it. Black American. In the South? No. No, we're not going to do that. No. And so I'm just as suspicious as his wife is. It continues here. It says a private autopsy released to Richardson's lawyer in late December said that a thorough and meticulous investigation should be carried out to rule out staged suicide. The private autopsy conducted by forensic pathologist Dr. Adele Shakur affirmed the state's findings that Dennoriss Richardson died from asphyxia secondary to neck compression, which is consistent with hanging. But the report noted that the hyoid neck bone, which is sometimes fractured in deaths from hanging and strangulation, wasn't present when Shakur examined the body. Shaker examined the body. Shaker said this report made it impossible for him to determine whether Richardson was killed or committed suicide. The hyoid bone doesn't always offer conclusive evidence about the manner of death. However, according to forensic pathologist Dr. Thomas Andrew, who has worked in the field for over 40 years. You cannot opine on manner of death based on the hyoid bone alone. The hyoid bone breaks in approximately a quarter of all hangings and half of all strangulations. Instead, the manner of death determined is based largely on evidentiary and circumstantial information. Andrew said that it was his standard practice to remove the hyoid bone in cases like Richardson, and that he would only give it to private pathologists performing secondary autopsies upon request. Richardson did not have any bodily injuries except for on his neck, and his toxicology report was normal. Andrew said that those were important observations. It says in the report, Shaker said that it was impossible to conclude how Richardson died without photographs of where his body was found or the rope that killed him. Neither were provided with the body, according to Shaker. Here's my question. Why wasn't the pictures taken? Typically, in homicide investigations, one of the first things they do before they touch anything is they take pictures. They take photos of everything that has happened right there. The murder weapon, the situation, all of it, all the carnage. Some of y'all who watch a lot of CSI you guys are scratching your head right now. You guys are like, this something don't look right. Why weren't there photos of the entire scene so that we know exactly what happened, so we can triangulate and guess exactly what exactly happened? Why are we taking the word of police when we don't have photos to show, okay, so this is what happened, see. You know what I'm saying? Man, I'm telling you, it doesn't smell right. Roderick Van Daniel, the attorney who represented Dennoriss Richardson in his civil rights lawsuit against the Sheffield Police Department, said he does not have photos of the scene. He says this whole investigation is suspicious. It says the family and community are tired of the evasive answers and the lies being told to them. In November, approximately 100 people marched from City Hall through the quiet streets of Sheffield onto the neighboring city, Tuscumbia, where the county sheriff's department is located, to demand transparency from law enforcement. We can't continue to allow the same thing to continue to happen over and over and over. We not stand up and do something about it. It says the march was not just about seeking answers, but about securing a future where in our minds and bodies are valued and heard and safe. That was from a social worker in Sheffield named Trenda Owens. Now, of course, it says Sheriff Valentine called for a federal investigation into Richardson's death following public outcry. The FBI investigation is still ongoing. A spokesperson from the FBI declined to comment on the pending investigation. So this is the point. Two different results from autopsy reports. What do you think? Do you think that the first result from the autopsy was correct? Or do you think the second one? Something tells me somebody did something to this man. I think here's my prediction. It wasn't a police officer that actually did something, but it was somebody racist that did something, and the police know exactly who it is, and they're covering up for that person. They know who it is, but they're covering up. That's what I think. I could be wrong. I could be completely way off. But knowing what I know and knowing the history of my people, of American freedmen, and what we've been through in this country, can you blame me? Here you have a disabled black man that has had trouble time and again with law enforcement. And then he winds up dead, hanging on a porch of an abandoned house. And of course the house is abandoned. Two autopsies, two different conclusions. If you go to a doctor and you get a second opinion, and the second opinion is different from the first, that means there's no actual confirmation of what the original doctor stated. There's no original diagnosis confirmation of what the doctor stated. That means there's no peer-reviewed consensus in stating, oh, well, yeah, of course, this guy, he died of asphyxiation due to hanging. No. So, and you know what, I'm gonna be honest with you. The FBI may solve the case. They may. But do I trust them? No. I don't trust any law enforcement in this country. Just look at our history and you'll know why. I don't trust any one of them. But is it going to harm them if they do solve it? Maybe not. But I still don't trust them. But I'm going to keep, following this story. That's the update I wanted to bring to you guys. But this is why we talk about, wanting to create a brand new system, a real system of public safety. Because when things keep happening like this, you realize that we are the public and we're not safe. And like I said, if they're going to do it to us, they're going to do it to you. So if this is going to keep happening to us, it's only a matter of time for those of you who are not in marginalized groups where it's going to be happening to you. Where we're found dead hanging from a tree or a porch or something. So the best takeaway I can tell you is, we are the canaries in the coal mine. And if this keeps happening to us, this is why it behooves us to change the system now so it doesn't happen to more people. I think that's the lesson we should take from this. All right, go ahead and give a like to the stream. Thank you so very much to everybody for joining in on this story. I know this is kind of a deep, heavy story. Not kind of but it was a deep and heavy story, but I wanted to make sure I talked about this and gave this update as well. So thank you very much. All right, so checking in on the Rockfin, we're good there when it comes to their chats. We'll just check on the Rumble to check to see if we have any chats there. Looks like we're good on the Rumble side. All right. Now let's go to the rest of the chat. All right. Yeah, Purple Philosophy says this is ridiculous. It keeps happening. I talked about it on RBN a lot. Purple Philosophy says that sounds a lot like what happened to two friends of mine here in Mississippi. I'm very sorry. Javier says, I wonder if any of those pigs were trained by the IDF. No doubt. Cobra Commander says some of those who work forces are the same who burn crosses. Agreed. It hasn't stopped. It just went more underground. That's all it really has happened. Edward says the police get away with murder and they have law on their side. Though that's the biggest group of gangs that exist in this country. What happens when a gang can do whatever they want with impunity, all because they have a badge? And the courts are on your side. See what I mean? Yes, Cobra Commander. This is the biggest way that some people will do what some people will do in order to take themselves out. I'll put it that way. That's the typical fashion, right? But that way that is described that they said Dennoriss Richardson did, I do not believe that. No. It's like I want to wait till the autopsy comes back, and look, I'm gonna do a private autopsy. I'm gonna have that done ourselves. You know, Edward says it's obviously a cover up. I believe so too. Mm-hmm. I hear you, Sean Miller. Oh my goodness. Let me see. Edward says we need to talk about racial prejudice because it affects class too. Yeah. A lot of times the racial prejudice that we see, like for instance, here's an example of racial prejudice in affecting class. When you have a black couple that tries to get their home appraised and their home is appraised less than what it's actually worth because the appraisers believe that because they're black, then their home should be worth less, right? Whenever you look at one of these charts or graphs that show the wealth disparities and who usually has the highest wealth disparity among racial groups, see, that's race and class, and that is the racial prejudice because it affects the class as well. So yeah. Zoe says they literally filter out the smartest and most empathetic from police applicant pools. That is also true. Because if you're smart and empathetic, they typically do not want you. And it's typically the smart and empathetic people that end up leaving too. Because they'll go in, they'll realize how rotten, not even rotten. Because rotten would denote it being good before. It was never good in the first place. But it was horrible from when they went in, but they didn't realize how horrible it was. And then they came out, and once they were in, they saw, oh my God, this institution is vile. And so they got out. Or they tried to fix the system from the inside. And in trying to fix the system from the inside, you know what they do? They get kicked out. They get chased out. Because they tried to fix the system from the inside. But the system, it doesn't like that. That blue wall, it will purge whatever goodness comes into it. So Kime Aboyer Costa. Okay, I'm gonna start this because I haven't gotten to that segment yet. We're about to go into that segment next after the patron shout out. Roger says those with empathy and a sense of righteousness they know will end up ratting them out to feds for real soon. Yeah, those are the ones who they do not want because then if those people are around, it's like when you're doing something wrong and then you invite somebody over, but then you know that they're the goody two shoes and that they may end up getting you in trouble in tattletelling. So you instead kick them out before you actually do the wrong thing, right? That is basically what it's like being in the police department. Like from an outsider's perspective, outsider's observation from what I see. And so they don't want somebody who is going to have integrity within those departments. And they'll say that they want somebody to have integrity, but in reality, they don't. Because they know that it's good for optics, but when it comes to actually holding themselves accountable, they don't want to do it because that's the system and how it was created. And so the system has always been horrific. It's just I'm gonna call it spade a spade. a lot of white people are now just realizing how horrible the system is. They're realizing it and they're like, oh my God, this system is horrible, because a lot of you guys don't get as much interaction with police as we do. Now, it is higher among working class and working poor white people. It's higher. But at the same time, it's still less than what we Black people go through. So you guys still don't get as much interaction with police as we do. Look, I'm going to make a statement. It's going to be a hot take, but look, take it with a grain of salt, okay? Black people know Black people know police more than white people do. Just like Black people know more about the grotesques and idiosyncrasies of white people, especially racists, we know, right? Just like women will know about the grotesques and idiosyncrasies of men because of misogyny and misogynoir. Just like, because when you're oppressed by a certain group, you know that group better than they know themselves. Women know men better than sometimes we know ourselves. Black people will know white people better than white people will know themselves. LGBTQ people will know straight people better than straight people know themselves. That's just the nature of the beast, right? And then the working class, we know capitalists better than capitalists know themselves. This is how it is, right? Because we're the ones who are always getting the brunt of the exploitation and abuse. This is something that we have to contend with. And sometimes some of us may have different privileges that others don't, and we got to continue with that too. Because a lot of times we'll sit here and deny, but at the same time, it's like you got to look through that lens. Sometimes we have to, how can I put this? Sometimes we got to humble ourselves and put ourselves in the, you gotta put on that empathy. You gotta. Sometimes we want to think of ourselves as benevolent, good people. But even some of the most benevolent and good people on this planet still have internalized biases and bigotry that they need to get out of their system. I still do. Look, I'm gonna tell you, back in the day, no, I'm not gonna say that one. Back in the day, I used to have a certain, it wasn't a disdain. It was a avoidance to certain immigrants, because I thought that things just weren't as civilized where they were from as they were here. Or I also used to have a disdain for Black men who sagged their pants, and I used to think that they didn't know much. Or I used to have a disdain. I used to think that athletes weren't that smart. These are some of the things I used to think back in the day. Until I'm gonna tell you when something clicked. I remember one time I was watching the Oscars, and this is when, oh my God, Kobe Bryant had won an Oscar for his short film about basketball. And in my mind, I'm going back and thinking about how, these guys don't sound that eloquent, right? Because I would hear them in short interviews when I'm walking past, and maybe my brothers have on Sports Center or something like that, And to me, it was just like, okay, whatever. They don't sound very eloquent to me. But in Kobe Bryant's press interview after he won that Oscar, I have never actually sat and listened to him speak. And then I was thrown off. I was like, wait a minute. This guy is eloquent. He's brilliant. But I didn't realize it because I saw just a basketball player. But in reality, he opened my eyes and said, he's a guy that's really good at basketball, but that's not all he's about. He is a multifaceted individual, right? And as I came to the left, I got to a point where I started to realize, oh, these people, they're in primitive conditions because of what the West has done to them, or some of these conditions that we may see as primitive, they're not actually primitive. They're actually more farther advanced than we are. We just ain't got there yet. And so I had to humble myself and say, I don't know everything. And maybe, just maybe, I'm being prejudiced within my mind and heart. And so I have to purge myself of this type of thinking. And I'm still a work in progress on that. And so he shocked me. He shocked me, and he humbled my ass. That's what Kobe Bryant did. And now I try to look at people through a lens of, they have something to teach me. I just don't know what it is yet. Yes. I'm gonna be honest. I was just a shut up and dribble guy. I was just you know what, Roger? Let me tell you this. I was one of those, well, if you pulled up your pants, then maybe you wouldn't get targeted by police a lot more. That's the guy I was. I was one of them. I was one of those dudes. And I learned real quick that it's the system. You know what I'm saying? Like, black men can dress up with suit, tie, suspenders, just like we used to do, right? Pinstripe with a fedora hat. We can do all that. Still get targeted by cops. It doesn't matter. Because it's a system, right? Because who was getting hit by the hoses back in the 1960s? It was people that were dressed like that. It wasn't dudes that look like thugs. No. So if they're doing it back then to our fathers and grandfathers that were dressed like that, it ain't gonna change if we change our clothes. It ain't gonna change if we go from having a nice high top fade to having dreadlocks. It's not gonna change. The system needs to change. If a flower does not bloom, you change the environment in which it grows, not the flower. And I had to learn that. And I'm glad that I learned that. This is why, whenever I'm talking to you guys, I'm also talking to myself too. But yeah. Yes, Roger. This thing for the capitalist class. Yes, never judge a book by its cover. Never. Yeah, I learned that real quick. It's all good. I used to be a Democrat and thought Republicans were wrong on everything. Yeah. Jacqueline says another example is a Black woman from Liverpool named Chantel Lunt. She has one of the strongest Liverpoolian accents going, but she's an excellent orator, grassroots activist, and PhD student. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I appreciate you guys, hearing me out on that one. But yes. Now, let's get into shout out to the patrons, and then we will move on into this this thing by Sunny Hostin. Oh my goodness. Ugh. Her comments eclipsed herself. All right, so let me go into this. All right. Shout out to all the patrons on Patreon. Without you guys, I would not be able to do this work. Shout out, here are the tiers. All right. Mega Jaybefaunters, Super Duper Jaybefaunters, Super Jaybefaunters, Comrade, Solidarity, and JB members. And thank you to all new members, all past, present, and future. But without you guys, I would not be able to do this work. You guys make this absolutely possible. And I just love you. Love you. All right. And by the way, if you guys haven't noticed, my channel is demonetized. So if you'd like to support the channel, you can support via Patreon or PayPal. So thank you so very much for all of that. Now, let's get into the next subject that we're going to be getting into now. We're going to be talking about Sunny Hostin sale. What? This lady doesn't step in it. And I just want to get to this one piece here because, look, I do not support Donald Trump, but this lady got some Trump derangement syndrome up the yin yang him. So we're going to get into that right now. Sunny days, everybody loves them. Tell me, baby, can you stand the rain? Okay, look, I'm not talking about, the New Edition song. I'm talking about Sunny Hostin. Because she's getting rained on. She's getting rained on from her comments on The View. Let me share this with you because I'm going to be honest with you. I personally feel that what she said was hyperbolic. Now, Sunny Hostin is a Afro-Latina. She's Black and Puerto Rican, Black American Puerto Rican. And she's a host on The View. And I honestly, and also yesterday was January 6th. So it is the fourth anniversary. Yeah. Of the notorious, descendant upon the Capitol that, a band of, how did I put it? A bunch of Timu Peter Parkers decided to crawl up the walls in the Capitol. So she had some things to say regarding the anniversary of January 6th. I wanted to talk about this, and we're going to go over it. It's not good for her. It's just not good. All right. Let's go.
I think we need to find moral clarity, in this country. And I just remember after January 6th, you had someone like Mitch McConnell placing the blame on January 6th where it belonged, squarely on Donald Trump's shoulders. Mm-hmm. And then you started seeing people backtrack that and losing their moral center. You had Condoleezza Rice, I believe, on this very show saying, we need to move on from January 6th. I say no. You don't move on because January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery, we need to never forget because past becomes prologue if you forget any race. I want to ask you. Yeah. I think we need to find moral clarity, in this country. And
first of all, let's stop there. We need to find moral clarity in this country. Ascension, that's her actual name. Ascension. ¿Por qué? Let me ask you this. Hang on. Was the moral clarity that we had in this country, was that moral clarity there during chattel slavery? Was that moral clarity there when we had Jim Crow? Was that moral clarity there when our ancestors, both yours and mine, were either stolen from West Africa or they were massacred, which if you are half Puerto Rican, that means that the other half of you was genocided, the Taino Indians. Where was the moral clarity? Was there moral clarity during Jim Crow? Was there moral clarity when they passed the Chinese Exclusion Act? Was there moral clarity when FDR put in Japanese internment camps? Was there moral clarity then? Was there moral clarity when the United States turned away victims of the Holocaust from coming here and seeking refuge? Was there moral clarity when the United States refused to hold Israel account for the SS Liberty bombing, for the SS Liberty attack that happened on our military service members? Was there moral clarity for the 1985 MOVE bombing that killed Black people in Philadelphia? Was there moral clarity during the civil rights movement when our ancestors were being sprayed with fire hoses and having dogs sicked on them? Was there moral clarity? Was there moral clarity when a million Iraqis? I can go on and on and on. Look, here's the thing. You can't ascribe moral clarity to a nation that started it out on a genocide. What country are you talking about, Sunny? Miss Sunny? What country are you talking about? Because it does not exist. I'm going to be real with you. It don't exist. Now, there are some good people within this country, but the history of this government doesn't exist because of the system that it's in. Stop ascribing some goodness to a country that didn't start out doing anything good. Just ask the Native Americans. It didn't. It's funny. This is basically a roundabout way of saying this isn't who we are. Ma'am, it is exactly who we are. This nation was divided, and went to war against itself over owning human beings. And you're saying moral clarity? Ascensión. ¿Qué tu problema? It doesn't make any sense for you to do this. My gosh, let's continue.
I just remember after January 6th, you had someone like Mitch McConnell placing the blame on January 6th where it belonged, squarely on Donald Trump's shoulders. Mm-hmm. And then you started seeing people backtrack that and losing their moral center. You had Condoleezza.
Mitch McConnell, moral center, what? Those two words don't even belong in the same sentence.
Rice, I believe, on this very show saying, we need to move on from January 6th.
Condoleezza Rice was also one of the same people that was also spearheading the Iraq War. You think that she has a moral center? You're ascribing morality not just to a system that's immoral, that's amoral, but you're ascribing morality to people who also are immoral and amoral. You're ascribing that to people and systems, when in reality, they don't give a damn about people anyway. Miss Sunny, what are you saying? Counselor.
I say no. You don't move on, because January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history.
Why don't you place that? Wait. Hang on. Let's go here. Who let the people on J6? Who let them in? Because I watched that live. Who let them in? Who opened the barricades? Who said let them in? Who gave the order? And yet, Congress approved millions of dollars in more funding for the Capitol Police, even though they're the ones that literally placed Congress in danger. They were the ones that placed Congress in danger. And you guys were like, oh, they protected us. They put you in danger, and you guys are applauding them? Let's place the blame word squarely on where it belongs. And you can say Donald Trump. Okay, fine. Donald Trump does deserve some. Yes. But he's not the only one that deserves blame. Also, in this system, to keep the working class divided, you use hyperbolic language to place one side against another. That also means the media is also at fault for this. So you need to point at yourself and your cohorts around that table, because it was y'all, MSNBC and CNN, who were also helping to keep one side divided against another. I also blame Fox News, OAN, Newsmax, CBS, New York Times, Washington Post. Y'all also get blamed too. Because this was this stark divide that you all caused. It was you guys that did this. Because you're doing the work of the billionaire owners that you work for. That's what it is. So part of the blame of J6 falls on you. But you're not willing to blame yourself, are you? Because you think that you are the moral center. Ma'am, you're not the moral center, because you were literally backing somebody that was committing a genocide. You're not the moral center. And you, as a Black and Latina woman, how dare you? How dare you? While seeing an indigenous people in Gaza getting bombed to bits, and you're going to back the person that was literally helping to destroy those people? A Holocaust is going on right now, and you are literally on the side of the monster. Do you want to talk about Holocaust, Miss Sunny? Miss Sunny, let's be real. You are a brilliant woman. Brilliant. Anybody with your pedigree and your education, that is not an easy thing to get to. And so it's precisely that why I hold your feet to the fire on this very issue. because you know better. You know better. Shame on you. Shame on you.
And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II.
This was not a war. This was law enforcement allowing a band of goons to come into the Capitol. And some were trying to do some horrible things to people because they were hoodwinked into following a demagogue. And they were stupid enough to follow him. I'm gonna be real with you. And to do some stupid BS. And then now they're serving in prison, which Donald Trump is probably going to pardon them. Or did Biden try to pardon him? I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is. But it doesn't make any sense for you to compare this to World War II. Like J6 is like way down here, and World War II is like way up here. My goodness.
Things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery.
Oh. You're putting that at the same level. You're putting that at the same level, Miss Sunny. Counselor, you're putting that at the same level. Let me ask you this. Because I really do think that she's being hyperbolic here. Are we still feeling the effects of J6 as an entire population of people? Are we? Are we still seeing those effects happen to us down to this day? Because I don't necessarily see it. Now, if you want to talk about chattel slavery, are we still seeing the effects? Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Are we still seeing the effects of World War II that has happened? Yes, definitely. Are we still seeing the effects of the Holocaust that has happened? Oh, yes. We're still seeing the effects down to this day. But to say that J6, but to imply that J6 is the same level, no, I do not think so.
We need to never forget, because past becomes prologue if you forget any race. I want to ask you.
You're right. You're right. But to say that we have lost our moral center, that tells me that you're not remembering the actual past. Those who do not study history are doomed to repeat it. If you study history, which I believe you did, you would know that exactly what happened on the Capitol is what America is. That is America. So you saying that this isn't who we are in a roundabout way, you're denying the history that you were taught. You are denying the history that you know to be true. Now you are doing a rewrite of history, saying that America is better than actually what it is. You're doing the very thing that you said we shouldn't do. You're being a hypocrite. Miss Sunny, I hope that you, in a sense, come to Jesus on this and realize you missed out on this one. You definitely missed the boat on this one. People study history and you're going to have to take history and see it in its raw, ugly form and then come to grips with that. That's how you study history. You have to look at it in its ugliest, rawest form. So that has an emotional effect on you. So you go, I don't ever want that to happen again. But the problem is that through the spilt blood that we see from the past, to some people, it's just rose-colored glasses. It's not blood. If you put on rose-colored glasses and look at red, it appears white. We have to see it with clear eyes. Not through what we want it to be, but for what it actually is. What is America? Ask Native Americans and ask Black people, what is America? And we will tell you. Got to be honest. Go ahead and give a like to the stream. Thank you so very much. Appreciate it very much, all y'all. Let's go into the rock fin. And then we can head on out. All right. Oh, I got a funny video I'm going to show y'all at the end, too. Y'all going to laugh. All right, let's go to the rock bid. Chad says, Roger Meadow says, I wouldn't mind raining on sunny. Roger, stop it. Hey, I'm talking about my words, Jay. What are you talking about? Roger says, I'm just saying I would like to heat up her rose con pollo before serving it up to her. Roger! There you go again. I'm talking about food, Jay. Good food. God, you people. Democrats, ish libs took the side of the police on J6, talking about brave officers holding the line. Yeah, see? This is exactly what I was talking about. That's exactly what I was talking about. And then we have Hemp Car that shared this. It's not that long. Let me go here. Oop. This is somebody talking about the J6.
What I saw was just a war scene. It was something like I had seen out of the movies. I couldn't believe my eyes. There were officers on the ground, you know, they were bleeding, they were throwing up, they were, you know, they had, I mean, I saw friends with blood all over their faces. I was slipping in people's blood. You know, I was catching people as they fell. It was carnage. It was chaos. I can't even describe what I saw. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that as a police officer, as a law enforcement officer, I would find myself in the middle of a battle. You know, I'm trained to detain, a couple of subjects and handle a crowd, but I'm not combat trained. And that day, it was just hours of hand-to-hand combat, hours of dealing with things that were way beyond any law enforcement officer has ever trained for. And I just remember that moment of stepping behind the line and just seeing the absolute war zone that the West Front had become.
Hang on. Let me thank you for that hemp card. But here's my thing about what that lady just said. Students can be protesting on a college campus or could be marching against police brutality, and we get our heads bashed in with police and riot gear. And yet they couldn't subdue this group? Police have military gear, right? They have tanks, they have military gear, they have riot gear. And yet, couldn't do that to them, but they could do it to us. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah, Jacqueline. It's crazy. Zoe says, I feel like you can't know much American history if you think J6 is one of the worst moments. I'm saying, though, it doesn't make sense to me. Jacqueline says, weren't most of those involved in J6 middle class and well educated, which just goes to show, yes, they weren't working class. They were working. Some of them were working class, but they weren't working poor. A lot of them were business owners and stuff like that, coming in on private jets. Like, you know what I'm saying? Edward says the history we were taught in school was pure mythology. I mean, some of it was told in honesty, but some of it was also sometimes the worst liars are people who give a grain of truth in their lie. And so some grains of truth were in, history class. But there's some where they pushed a different narrative than what was actually true. Cobra Commander says they made my generation read Lord of the Flies and Animal Farm in elementary school and wonder why everybody is a far-right psychopath today. What do the police need tanks for? Citizens. That's what they're there for. Yeah. A civilian police force using military-style tanks on citizens. That's the United States. Be glad you don't live here. Edward says they knew there were going to be a lot of Trump folks protesting, but yet he didn't have a lot of cops at the event. Yep. It's wild, man. Like, the cops literally let them in. They let them in. I'm going to tell you right now, if that was a bunch of black people at a Black Lives Matter protest, everybody at that barricade would have got their heads beat in the moment they touched that barricade. It's crazy, man. Anywho. So with that being said, going to be heading on out really soon. And also just let you guys know, in about 5 minutes, well, 4 minutes now, Nick is going to be going live on RBN to talk with Ro Khanna, Congressman Ro Khanna. I'm going to be heading out and going over to there to be in the background just to help out. But I want you guys to be able to flood RBN as well. All of y'all that are watching right now, all 36 of you, to go over there and support the channel. Let me give you guys the link so you guys can go there quickly. And so you guys can have that there as well. So, of course, there won't be a Savvy and JB show this Thursday, but I will see you guys again later this week. I'll be trying to do the presidential reading. And outside of that, I think that's it. All right. So everybody take care. You guys have yourself a good one. And like I always say, water your plants, water yourselves, leave the world better than you found it. Smoke them if you got them, drink them if you got them, if you ain't got them, then watch something funny because joy is revolutionary. And yeah, have a laugh and love you guys. Take care.
Back, front, back. We're gonna speed this up. If you're not comfortable with popping your ass, all I want is your hands. Boom, 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 boom. But if you can, get in that shit. Come on, 4, 3, good, 2. We call it the ribbit walk. You go ribbit, 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 ribbit. Staying low, lifting and dropping that ass.
Yeah.
If you have no space, stay in place and lift up those legs. Santa sleigh. You go Santa sleigh, bring the gifts. Santa sleigh, bring the gifts. Santa sleigh, bring the gifts. Santa, back, front, back. We're gonna speed this up. If you're not comfortable with popping your ass, all I want is your hands. Boom, 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 boom. But if you can, get in that shit. Come on, 4, 3, go.
Thank you so very much for watching my channel, and I deeply appreciate it from the top and bottom of my heart. If you wish to support the channel further, so I can keep bringing you content that is educational and informative, you can become a patron on patreon.com/Jaybefaunt. You can find that link in the pinned comment or in the description below. No matter what you give, you'll be supporting independent media and education that helps make the world better. Thank you so much, and you can watch more of my content here. Mwah. Forehead kisses, and have a beautiful day.